Straight to all the action on Dalal Street then, where markets saw a big pullback rally fueled by strong Asian clues and thus snapping its three-day losing streak. The Nifty rallied about 1.5% and the index ended just shy of that 10,900 mark. The Sensex also reclaimed 36,000 and broader markets slightly underperformed comparatively, with both Bank Nifty and Nifty Midcap ending with gains of around 0.75%. Surbhi Upadhyay joins us now with the key highlights of today's trading action. Surbhi, the bulls charge ahead yet again.
What a solid day of trade, and one that really announced the revival of the bull charge, if one could actually say that, with a lot of caveats. The good point was there was no volatility today. The interesting aspect is now this market is running into its litmus test. The Nifty will have to contend with the zone of 10,950, and that is where the bulls have lost momentum several times over in the last 2 odd months. What worked today in terms of stocks? It is technology all the way. You're talking large cap, mid caps on the Nifty. For instance, Wipro, of course, on the announcement of the bonus, added excitement over there. But Tech Mahindra, Infosys, TCS, all those stocks were up and about. But it wasn't just IT alone. It was a very well-rounded market move today. Reliance Industries was leading from the front. There was a lot of buying on Yes Bank. That continues to be one hot spot in the market. Some of the metal stocks came back because global markets were also doing very well today. So JSW Steel, Vedanta, many of these names were excited. Indiabulls Housing Finance, Bajaj Finance. These were some of the other names that found traction. In fact, there was only one key noticeable loser on the Nifty today, and that's Maruti. All the other stocks were largely on the positive side of the screen. Let me come to the mid-cap action. Again, the index has ended slightly lower than the Nifty, but don't go by that. Look beneath the surface. Lots of action. We're seeing gains on a Gujarat Gas, on First Source, on Godfrey Phillips, on Castrol, Equitas, J&K Bank, Sobha. These are just some of the examples where there was plenty of buying traction, many of these stocks ending at the highs of the day. On the losing side of the mid-cap screen, we've got some names like ICICI Securities, where there's disappointment with the earnings, Dish TV, Voltas and Havel. Some of these consumer durable stocks have had a couple of rough sessions, so that's where the profit booking was apparent. But otherwise, a very solid day, setting us up for an even more interesting tomorrow. Can bulls finally take out the 10,950 level? We'll find out.
Surbhi, thank you very much for bringing us that detailed report. Now, on to the big event that global markets are focused to. This evening, British lawmakers will deliver their verdict on UK Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal, and most lawmakers are likely to vote against the deal, potentially leading to a no-confidence vote against Theresa May's government. Now, a defeat in Parliament today will open up several uncertainties, including the option of the United Kingdom leaving the European Union without a deal or a second referendum on Brexit itself. CNBC's Steve Segwick, who is at the Westminster, joins us now. Steve, what can we expect from today's vote?
So here at Westminster, the build-up to the key Brexit withdrawal vote continues. It's a huge day for the government, a huge day for the Prime Minister, Theresa May. But it does look like, according to many of the MPs I've been speaking to, that there will be a majority of MPs who vote against the withdrawal bill this time round, having had the chance to actually vote on it 5 weeks after they initially thought they would do. The Prime Minister, for her part, looks resigned to some form of defeat on this one as well. But what she does next perhaps depends on the scale of her defeat today. Will she have enough hope from the voting to go back to the European Union and try to renegotiate some form of deal and then come back and get a second vote on the withdrawal bill in the hope of passing it so that Brexit can take place on March 29th as scheduled to do so in the Article 50 process? Or will there be a whole series of events which could lead to the demise of Mrs May? Possibly she would resign if she gets a big enough defeat against her, but more likely scenarios that she will try carrying on to push her vision of Brexit forward, despite the fact that hard Brexiteers on her party and DUP that supports her party are set to vote against her this evening. What seems very likely, though, is that the opposition Labour Party will come up with their own vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister, in the government, if indeed she does lose this vote this evening. That, in turn, if she were to lose it, could potentially lead to a general election. Other scenarios include the fact that there could be a no-deal Brexit Brexit, where there is no scenario where MPs can agree on a deal with the European Union, and actually the Brexit happens on March 29th with no deal in place with the EU, or potentially another outside scenario could be the fact that in order to break the logjam, there is a second referendum on leaving Europe. Lots of scenarios all on the table as we get to this key vote here in Westminster. Steve Sedgwick in Westminster for CNBC.
All right, Steve, thank you very much for bringing that report. As he says, the Prime Minister herself wearing a look of defeat ahead of that crucial vote. Now, European markets are moving higher ahead of that Brexit vote, and the British FTSE is up 0.2%. The French CAC and the German DAX are also trading with similar gains. Now back home, the shares of Yes Bank rallied over 4% today, and the stock was the top gainer on Nifty. The rally, of course, was fueled by reports that Ravneet Gill, the current CEO of Deutsche Bank India, is the front-runner for the top job at the bank. Remember, the company has been searching for a new CEO after Rana Kapoor did not get RBI's nod for an extension. Abhishek Kothari joins us with the latest. Abhishek.
Sources tell CNBC TV18 that Ravneet Gill, that is the CEO of Deutsche Bank, is the #1 name in the list that has been given by the board to RBI. Now, there are two names that have been given in the order of hierarchy of preference that Yes Bank has, as to replace MD and CEO in terms of Rana Kapoor when he exits. So Ravneet Gill has led Deutsche Bank in India for 6 years and has over 30 years of experience across various banking verticals. Now, this candidature may get a swift, approval by RBI, given the fact that just 6 months back, RBI had renewed the term at Deutsche Bank for Ravneet Gill. Due diligence, therefore, may reduce and time won't be taken that much with RBI. So, Rajat Monga is the second candidate or the #2 name in the list, while Yes Bank has not responded to our story. Back to you.
All right, Abhishek, thank you very much. A much, keenly awaited event, that one. Now, here's a big development from the aviation space then. A resolution plan to resuscitate Jet Airways could be in place as early as tomorrow. We learned from sources that lenders to the ailing airline will be meeting tomorrow to chalk out a glide path, and we learned that as part of this plan, promoter Naresh Goyal is likely to step down from the board and give up majority control in the airline in favour of Etihad, then raising its stake from 24% with the cash that it brings in. Do remember, under the current FDI norms in aviation, Etihad can take its stake up to 49%. In addition, we're given to understand that Naresh Goyal will be replaced by his son Nivan Goyal on the board, and the voting rights of the Goyals will be capped at 10% as per the restructuring plan that is under discussion. Also, we understand that portion of this 8,000 crore rupees debt will be converted into equity by the SBI-led consortium, which means the bankers will then hold a stake in Jet Airways. Now, all these talks have been under discussion, and tomorrow is a crucial day to watch out for, when all the lenders will be meeting to take the final call on the restructuring plan for this debt-laden airline. Now, moving on, after a failed bid to sell its stake in Air India, the government is now focused on monetizing the Maharaja's subsidiaries in a bid to shore up revenues. Speaking to CNBC TV18 on the sidelines of the Global Aviation Summit, Jayant Sinha, the Minister of State for Civil Aviation, said the process of divesting stake in Air India subsidiaries were well and truly on track. That's not all. Sinha also clarified that airlines were appropriately hedged to manage the volatility in fuel prices.
We are proceeding forward. The group of ministers has made certain decisions with respect to the disinvestment of subsidiaries. That process is underway, and let us wait for the results to come in. Fuel prices have been volatile for decades now, and everybody that operates in the airline industry understands that they have to take appropriate hedging and risk mitigation measures when it comes to fuel prices. So the best airlines, the best carriers are appropriately hedged. They know exactly how to manage that volatility.
Well, from the stress in the aviation sector to the power sector then, and there's no end to the stress faced by the power distribution companies. Discoms incurred a loss of over 11,000 crore rupees in the first half of this financial year, which is almost 2,500 crore rupees more than the loss that they incurred on a yearly basis. Outstanding dues, meanwhile, have spiked by 24% yearly as of October, according to official data that has been released. Now, in an interview with CNBC TV18, Power Secretary Secretary Ajay Bhalla said that a group of ministers was considering allowing power generators' dues to be met through bill discounting by PFC, REC and banks with a backstop from state governments. Listen in.
From June to November, December, when I look at the figures, the outstanding dues quantum has increased by about 6,000 to 7,000 crores. Last year's losses were 15,000 crores after all accounting for subsidies and all. Either it will be at the same level or maybe marginally more than that. I mean, it will be 17,000 crore or something. High-level empowered committee, which looked at certain sectoral issues vis-a-vis stress in the power sector. This is one of the recommendation of the committee that we can examine whether not only companies like PFC, REC, but even some of the banks can explore the possibility of bill discounting. So that recommendation is definitely on the table and it is being examined in consultation with the Ministry of Finance. We also want some RBI intervention in this matter actually as a backstop arrangement and all, but that is where we are still in discussion with the Ministry of Finance.
Startups have been unhappy about the angel tax notices for some time and they have now taken their grievances to the Prime Minister. CNBC TV 18 learns that the startup industry body iSpirit is set to send a letter to the Prime Minister on key issues on behalf of almost 100 startups in the country. Mugdha Warrior is here with details of those demands. Mugdha, take us through what the letter is going to contain.
The angel tax issue that has been haunting startups for many years now is set to land up at the Prime Minister's office this week. About 100 startups are going to address a letter to the Prime Minister this week asking that the angel tax issue be addressed in the upcoming budget. Now, the main demand of these startups is that they be exempted from Section 56 and Section 68 of the Income Tax Act. Section 56 has been the main cause of concern for startups since it considers the capital raised above fair market value of shares as income from other sources and hence taxable. But Section 68 has also troubled startups and investors mainly because it involves giving a satisfactory explanation to the assessing officer, especially about the source of income of the investors. Now, another issue for the startups is that the benefits announced in 2016 for startups be also considered retrospectively for the companies that were founded before that. Now, remember, several industry associations and startups have written to the government in recent weeks, including to the CBDT, to the Finance Ministry, as well as the DIPP. Now, the CBDT last month said it will not take any coercive measures, while last week Suresh Prabhu said that the government is working on a solution on angel tax.
All right, Mugdha, thank you very much for bringing us that report. Now, we are going to double down on India and plan to double our workforce here in 2019. That is the word coming in from Uber's Senior Director Komal Mangtani. In an exclusive interaction with CNBC TV 18's Nithya Balakrishnan, Mangtani, who is in charge of engineering for business intelligence at Uber, also said that the company is bringing interesting new charters to India. Here is an excerpt of Nithya's conversation with Komal Mangtani, who also features on the Forbes list of America's top 50 women technology moguls.
So let me start with giving you an anecdotal example. We just had a really amazing program that came out of Hyderabad Engineering. It's called My Innovation Time. This is a time provided to engineers to work on Friday afternoons on problems they feel passionate about. This is something very unique and unheard of in the past and also unheard of in other countries. The way I see this is a very clear indicator that engineers here are not only up to date with all the technologies that is available across the globe, they have deep expertise in let's say image processing techniques. They have deep expertise in understanding the convolutional neural nets. They would love to solve problems that really matter to the lives of people here. And that level of passion and understanding of business problems, marrying it to the technology space, is something very unique to India, and we would like to leverage that more. To that extent, we are going to double down on India. We are going to literally double our engineering workforce in 2019. We are bringing interesting new charters in India. Uber Lite, Uber Eats, payments, fraud detection techniques, intelligent resolutions are few of them. We cannot talk much about the new products we will be introducing, but when you look at our past trends, this is a company that is very fast at iterating on the solutions that we want to offer. It identifies the requirements from the customers. There is a closed loop conversations with customers. We are going to introduce a lot more safety features. We are going to think about how we integrate with the local ecosystem of India, and how do we weave our products deeply into the India network is going to be a huge focus in 2019.
Well, on that note, here's the big political headline of the day. The political tug-of-war in Karnataka is intensifying amidst allegations of poaching of lawmakers by both the Congress, JDS and the BJP camp. We are given to understand that 2 independent lawmakers have withdrawn support to the Kumaraswamy government, and the Congress meanwhile claims to be in touch with 6 BJP lawmakers. Payal Mehta joins us now with the very latest. Payal, take us through what you've picked up.
Well, it's a crisis of sorts that actually one can witness as far as Karnataka politics is concerned. On one front, where the BJP has been maintaining that about 6 to 8 MLAs from the Congress party are in touch with them, it seems that the JDS and the Congress combined have decided to give it back to the BJP in exactly the same terms, and that's why you heard from the Congress sources really say that they have about 6 BJP MLAs who are in touch with them. Mind you, Yadurappa did speak to us the other day, and he did mention that yes, one Bellary MLA was called by the JDS, and that's one of the reason that panic actually got inside the BJP camp, and they decided to bring everybody to Delhi and keep them in that 5-star resort, near Gurugram. So clearly, even though 2 independent MLAs have withdrawn support from the JDS Congress government right now, the BJP is calling this an important step, but they need to also, and they would also understand that they still lack the numbers to even reach the midway mark. They'll have to really, think very carefully because this is a crucial period right ahead of the general elections, where nobody would really want to see a crisis of sorts unless otherwise they're 200% sure. The BJP will tread very carefully. At the same time, the Congress party is also ensuring that they can try and keep their flock together. Central leaders, including K.C. Venugopal and some of the others, are also being rushed by Rahul Gandhi and the Congress top leadership to ensure that the crisis is quite ably managed. It's a brave front that H.D. Kumaraswamy and the others are putting up, and they have really said that any attempt by the BJP to play these kind of dirty politics in their state is going to backfire on them. The BJP leadership, even though they're in a huddle right now, they also want to make sure that they are completely sure of the next step ahead, because Karnataka is an important state where they would not like to mess up their chances as far as the general elections are concerned. So clearly, months to go right before the general election, and about 8 months or so before the formation, after the formation of the Karnataka government, the BJP is being trying to stitch in a narrative and tell people that this is an alliance of convenience and they are not going to last for long. But it will be important to see who has a last laugh, and if both these political camps can go beyond political posturing.
All right, Payal, thank you very much for bringing us that ground report. Now, we learned from sources that Directorate General of Anti-Profiteering Authority has found the case of undue profits of about 176 crore rupees by Patanjali Ayurved. Now, Patanjali, on its part, has refused these allegations. For now, Timsi Japuria joins us with the very latest. Timsi, what have you picked up in this case?
Well, what we understand from sources is the fact that Director General for Anti-Profiteering, that is DGAP, in its detailed investigation has found profiteering by Patanjali. We also learned that DGAP has submitted its final report to National Anti-Profiteering Authority, which is the final stage that proves whether a company has done profiteering or not under the GST regime. And they feel that DG Anti-Profiteering in their report has submitted a detailed investigation, even giving out the breakups as to how much worth of amount has been profiteered on account of which particular product. Now, according to the final analysis of the report, Patanjali Ayurved has made undue profits worth 176.02 crores to be precise, and DGAP says that Patanjali profiteered by not passing on GST rate cut benefits that were announced in November 2017, and profiteering charges involve especially on products which are FMCG product lines such as shampoo, toothpaste, cosmetics, etc. Remember, GST Council had rationalized rate rates on more than 200 items on November 11, 2017. And when we got back to Patanjali, this is what Patanjali told CNBC TV 18. Patanjali spokesperson in a detailed response said, Anti-Profiteering Authority has sent them a notice on December 18, 2018. They find that the details mentioned are grossly erroneous. Notice also includes over 100 SKUs, that is stock keeping units, which are either duplicate or exempted. Certain number of SKUs are those which were introduced post November 15, 2018 itself. We will submit our reply on next date of hearing, that is on January 28, 2019. So let's see what happens on January 28, 2019 when Patanjali submits its case in front of National Anti-Profiteering Authority.
Timsy, thank you very much for bringing us that detailed report.